Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do another swatch and review type video, and this time I'm going to be talking about some of the Makeup Forever artist eyeshadows. These are not new on the market, but they are new to my makeup collection, and I just wanted to kind of, I guess, talk about them and kind of show you the swatches of the 12 eyeshadows that I picked up. I just wanted to get this video out because I really enjoy these types of videos. I find them really informative. Let's just get straight into it. I'm going to start off kind of from right to left, top row to bottom row. So the first shade is this top one right here, and it's the shade M646, and that's Latte. I forgot to mention the Makeup Forever eyeshadows come with codes. And the codes actually depict what finish it is. So the eyeshadows that start with M stands for matte, S stands for satin, I iridescent, D diamond, ME metallic. I think that's all of them. So yes, this Latte shade is a matte shade, and Latte is a kind of very warm kind of caramel shade, and I've been using it as a transition shade. I mean, you can actually build it up because it's really quite pigmented, so you can get away with kind of using it as a crease shade, or if you apply it really lightly with a fluffy brush, it works really well as a transition shade. So if you're rocking a kind of warm smoky eye or kind of an everyday neutral look, then this one I think is a staple. So moving on to the next shade, we've got S642, and it's called Sahara. So the S means it's a satin finish, and I think it's very well named because the colour is very much a kind of muted golden sand shade. The only problem with this is it's very close to my skin tone, so you pretty much can't see the shadow when you apply it. It's definitely there, but because it's really close to my lid shade, you can barely see it, which can be a good thing. I mean, how I like to wear it is on an everyday basis, you know, to go to work. You just want that kind of something there to kind of make you look a bit more kind of polished and groomed. So this is a great one to kind of put over the entire eyelid, and then maybe something a bit darker through the crease. The only other thing with this shade is that I feel like you have to really go in a lot with your brush to get that level of payoff. And I'm not sure whether it is true with the formula. I do have other satin shades in the palette, and I feel like the payoff and the pigment is much greater than this colour. I just find it a bit difficult to pick up on the brush. So yeah, that's my only kind of reservation or concern with this shade. So moving on to the third shade along, and we've got S610 in the shade Almond. So again, S is a satin finish. It's just a basic kind of warm brown shade. If you like your neutrals, you like your browns, and you like your kind of warm tone brown, then I'd say this is a really good colour to go for. And I mean, even though it's warm, it's not overwhelmingly warm like the next colour, which I'm going to talk about. So this is a kind of nice colour to wear on the outer half of your lid, and you can even take it into the crease as well, because even though it's a satin, the sheen in the satin is not very prominent, so it doesn't kind of look odd in your crease. You can actually get away with wearing it. Okay, so moving on to the last shade of the top row, and it's S602, and it's the shade Cinnamon. This is a lot more warmer than Almond, and I'd say it was the kind of bigger sister to Almond, kind of the next shade up, if you like. For me, if you love your warm tones, then this is a really nice colour. Okay, so moving on to the second row, the first shade we have is M600. So it's a matte finish, and it is called Pinky Brown. It's basically a mid to dark tone brown with a dusky rose undertone, hence why it's called Pinky Brown. And you know, or you may not know, I just kind of love my rose tones. Anything that's got a mauve, rosy dustiness to it, I'm obsessed with. So when I saw this brown, I knew I had to have it. And this would just make a beautiful kind of crease shade. And I feel like you can actually team it with kind of your warmer shades, like your kind of caramels and oranges, but you can also kind of team it with your kind of roses and pinks and purples because it's got that kind of pinky undertone to it. So I think it's a very, very versatile matte shade, and it's probably one of my favourites of this little collection I have here. Then moving on to the next shade in the second row, and here we've got I514, and it's called Pink Ivory, and it's an iridescent finish. Basically it's a really highly frosted ivory shade with an ever so slight hint of pink to it, hence why the name's called Pink Ivory. It's a very, very subtle hint of pink. I think it's a shade that you can wear as an inner corner highlight with whatever look you're going through, whether it's a warm smoky eye or whether it's a cool smoky eye. It is very, very, very intense. It's very pigmented, so packing it in on your inner corners is very, very easy. But if you want to use it as a brow bone highlight, unless you really like that kind of highly frosted sheen on your brow bone, I would say to go in with very little product and to kind of build it up to the level you want it. The formula is so beautiful. I've got to mention that I'm actually wearing some of the colours on my eyes today, which might have helped, and I'm basically wearing all of the top shades and Pink Ivory as well. Moving on to the next shade, we have ME654, and this is called Cauldron. Bit of a strange word. Doesn't really look like a cauldron. When I think of cauldron, I think of black. Like, you know, like a witch's cauldron is black. It's actually a really beautiful shade. It is obviously a metallic finish because it starts with ME. It's just your warm kind of golden brown with a hint of bronze to it as well. I like to wear this on the lid, on the outer half of the eye, and maybe wear it with a kind of lighter shade in the inner part of the lid. If you're the type of person that likes your kind of neutral bronzes and golds, then you would definitely like this colour. It blends out beautifully. I find that the metallics and the iridescence blend really, really well, and actually I have to say the mattes are really, really surprisingly good, because sometimes you know how mattes, if you get mattes wrong, it can be really chalky, really powdery, but these are just like so incredibly pigmented that you just go in with the lightest touch and you will pick up so much colour. And moving along to the final shade of the second row, and we've got S622, and this is called Black Brown. I don't know why I decided not to go for a matte black, which I feel is kind of an essential in a makeup palette. That or a very, very dark brown, because I think every kind of palette needs that really dark colour to kind of smoke things out, especially if you really want to smoke out the lash line and to add any more kind of depth and intensity to kind of a smoky eye. So I settled for this black brown, which I think is perfect. It's a very, very, very dark brown, that to the point it is almost black. I mean, if you look at it in the plan at a quick glance, you would actually think it's a black, but it's just a very, very, very dark, cool tone brown. Okay, moving on to the final row, and first up we've got M546, and this is called Dark Purple Taupe, and it's a matte finish, and this is actually another one of my favourite colours in this palette. I don't actually think I agree with the name of this. I mean, Dark Purple Taupe. It's not a dark purple, it's more like a lavender shade with kind of a dusky pink undertone. This is such a beautiful, beautiful transition shade if you're going for that kind of plummy vibe on your eyes, which I absolutely love. Anyone who has brown eyes should really pick up tones like this. If you've got brown eyes, then I definitely recommend getting this, because it just makes your brown eyes look really kind of rich and chocolatey. I love it. I like to team it with kind of neutral shades, just with a hint of like this pinky plum in the crease, or kind of team it with more kind of pinky plummy shades. Okay, moving on to the next shade, and it's another one of my favourites, and it's ME612 Silver Brown, and it's one of those shades that has a bit of a duochrome effect, I feel. It's just because the metallic in the brown is really, really vibrant. In some lights I feel like the silver almost reflects a pink shade, so it's not like a really cool still like silver. It is slightly pink, I feel, but I think that just might be me, and it depends on kind of what light When I looked at it in kind of just normal light in my bedroom when I'm doing my makeup, I definitely thought there was a bit of a pink sheen there, but looking at it in natural daylight, you can see that it's a kind of silver sheen, but it's very kind of a light silver sheen, and in that sense it makes it such a beautiful colour. And I think the colour is a lot lighter than what you see in the pan. When I swatched the shade, I was actually surprised. I thought it was going to be a bit darker, and I like to wear this as an all over the lid shade because, like I said, it's not as dark as it looks in the pan, and I like to team it with like a darker shade like the next one on the outer part of the eye. Okay, so the penultimate eyeshadow is I606 Pinky Earth, and this is a kind of plum tone with a warm brown undertone, and I like to team Pinky Earth with silver brown. I think as a pair they go really well if you've got brown eyes, or if you like your purples but also like your neutrals, then this should definitely be on your radar. Then the final shade I have in the palette is S832, and it's called Ash Plum, and it's basically a really deep purple with a brown undertone, so it's very wearable. If you want to wear colour, if you like purple but you're too scared to wear it on your eyes, then this bad boy is for you, because it's got a very strong brown base to it, so it doesn't look like a vibrant pop of purple. And I like to use this shade to kind of intensify kind of a purpley smoky eye. Even just on the neutral eye look where you don't always want to be reaching for the dark brown, you can reach for a colour like this, and this will just kind of help intensify the outer corners, the outer V, the lash line. And I actually think out of the whole palette, the bottom row is my favourite, because I love a neutral eye, but I also like to wear a kind of hint of plummy purple as well, so this is like the perfect 4 eyeshadows. I have to say, having a play and wearing the shadows, I feel like the matte textures are absolutely beautiful. They are so incredibly pigmented. I mean, they are up there with the likes of Makeup Geek, which I swear by. They're probably better than MAC, I would say. You go in with the tiniest amount of product and build from there, otherwise there could be a disaster. I mean, the satin shades, I feel like it's a bit hit and miss, but then I'm not sure whether it's kind of dependent on the colour. I mean, Sahara, like I said, I'm not sure whether it's because it's too close to my actual skin tone. You would have seen from the swatches that it barely showed up because it's so close to my actual skin tone, but I feel like I have to really go in quite heavy with a brush repeatedly to actually get any payoff. I feel like the other satin shades, for example Almond and Cinnamon, they look really intense in the pan, but they don't have as much payoff as the matte shade. It's still quite easy to work with, and I guess it's ideal for people that are maybe not adventurous or maybe not as confident with their makeup, to be able to pick up product and not be scared that it's too much. In terms of the iridescent, it's really creamy in texture. Even though it's an iridescence, it's got a high amount of sheen in it. There's no like really chunky bits of glitter in it, which I don't really like. Really smooth, really creamy, and I definitely think I will kind of investigate more iridescent shades and probably add a few more to my collection. In terms of metallic, I think they work just as well as the iridescent shades. So if you like metallic eyeshadows, you won't be disappointed in this. They are on the pricey side, but if you work it out pounds for grams, or whatever the measurement is, then you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. They're twice the size of MAC, Makeup Geek and Anastasia Beverly Hills, but you're not essentially paying twice the price. Fair enough, you're probably paying twice the price for the Makeup Geek ones, but Makeup Geek eyeshadows are an exception. So if you were thinking about buying the Makeup Forever eyeshadows, then I hope that this video proves to be useful to you. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!